Have you ever read a story so big it feels like it's about, well, everything? Today, we're going to crack open a book that tells what might be the biggest story ever told. A story about the entire universe, from its very first moment to its final chapter. Okay, so the book is called The Great Controversy, and it was written to help people understand some of life's biggest questions. In this explainer, we're going to unpack the three huge ideas at the heart of this really epic story. So let's start with something I bet we've all felt. You know that little tug of war inside your head? That choice between doing something kind for someone else versus doing something just for yourself. Well, this book says that feeling, it's a tiny piece of a much, much bigger story. And that feeling, that tug of war, that's our first big idea. According to The Great Controversy, that struggle isn't just inside of us. It's like woven into the fabric of the whole universe. The entire story of everything, it says, has two very different sides. Think of it like two teams, right? And they have totally different playbooks. You've got God's way, which is all about love and giving, joy and peace, truth and light. And then on the other side, the book describes Satan's way, which is all about selfishness and taking, sadness and trouble, lies and darkness. The whole idea is that every choice we make is kind of like choosing which team we're playing for. And this huge battle actually has a name. The Great Controversy. It sets up this epic story between two main characters. On one side, you have Christ, who is called the Prince of Life, representing everything good. And on the other, you have Satan, the Prince of Evil, who the book says is the one who started this whole rebellion against good. So where did a fight this big even start? Well, according to the story, it didn't start down here on Earth. Nope, it all began way up in heaven with a really powerful angel who decided he wanted his own selfish way instead of God's way of love. That one choice, the author says, is what kicked off this great controversy that has affected, well, everyone and everything ever since. Okay, so if we're all in this giant story with two different sides, how are you supposed to know which way to go? Well, that's where our second big theme comes in. The book talks about the Bible as being a special kind of map or a guidebook for this whole journey. Now, the Bible, it wasn't just written by one person in, a single afternoon. Not at all. As you can see from this timeline, the book explains that it's a collection of messages and stories written down by lots of different people over about 1,600 years. And this is a really important point. The book says the Bible is like a partnership. So picture this. Imagine a king wants to send a super important message to everyone in his kingdom. He doesn't just shout it from his castle. He tells his trusted friends exactly what he wants to say, and they write it down in words that everybody can understand. That's kind of how this story explains the Bible. God's big ideas communicated in human words. So why is it such a great guidebook? Well, The Great Controversy says it's basically the ultimate owner's manual for life. It tells us where we all came from, it shows us how to pick the right path, it helps us spot the enemy's tricks, and most importantly, it reveals God's big rescue plan and promises a happy ending to the whole story. And that leads us to our third and maybe the most important idea of all. This whole story, it's not just about a big cosmic fight or an old book. It's about a powerful person who is always on your team. And that's really the core message here. It's meant to be a huge comfort. Even with this big controversy happening all around us, the book makes a promise that God will personally help and protect the people who choose to be on his side. You're never alone in this. So how does he do that? Check this out. This idea is pretty amazing. The book teaches that God sends powerful angels to be our personal bodyguards. Seriously, it's like having this invisible super shield around you. The point is that no matter how tricky the enemy gets, he can't get past the protection that God provides. And wait, the help doesn't even stop there. The book lays out this entire rescue plan. It says God sent Jesus to be the ultimate hero and fight for us. It says he's always listening whenever we talk to him. It says he sends his spirit to be like a constant guide and comforter. And it says he gives us the inner strength to make the right choices in that daily tug of war. Okay, so after all that, after all the struggle and the choices, how does this massive story finally end? Well, the last part of the book is all about the ultimate happy ending, a promise that it's all going to be resolved. And here it is, plain and simple. Good wins. That's the main promise of the entire story. After all the chapters of conflict and struggle, the book's final message is one of total victory. All the sadness and trouble that started this whole thing, gone. Forever. This quote gives us a little peek at what that victory actually looks like. It's describing a future with no more enemies, no more sadness, no more fear. Instead, it's a future just filled with endless joy and learning and love, where this great controversy is finally over. And that leaves us with this one final powerful thought. If the story is really happening, if there's a great controversy going on right now, it means that all our little choices, the things we do every day, are actually part of something way bigger, something epic. So the book kind of leaves us with a question for our own lives. What part will you play in this great story?